Hey, everybody, it's End Times Talk. Good early morning to you all, and good afternoon and good evening to those who watch later on. But I can't sleep, so I've been out just scouring the internet, doing my little Watchman thing. All right, and got some information to bring to you that I find quite interesting. The proof is always in the pudding, so to speak. I want to start by bringing up this PDF. Um, and we've talked about it a million times. Hold on. All right, there we go. We've talked about it a million times. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to abbreviate it here and kind of give you a rough synopsis of it. Um, Basically, and we've talked about the credibility of this document before, so I'm not going to go into that. It's credible in my mind. It's okay if people disagree with that, but I'm going to stick with that. This is a credible document. Um, so basically, the Third World War and the plan for the Third World War is to get Israel and the Muslim nations fighting. Meanwhile, the other nations of the world are divided on whether they're pro-Muslim or pro-Jew, get into a scuffle, and basically the right conservative Christian rises up against the satanic liberal left or whatever, and there's a clash, and through that clash brings about global order. And a bloody scuffle that basically brings in chaos. Ordo ab chaos, they say in the Latin, in the secret societies, order out of chaos. And this leads to persecution of Christians for standing up for their safety or whatever. It's the way that this kind of document reads out. You can see it for yourself here. With that being said, all right, the tensions in Iran are rising, with what's happening. And I've sat back a little bit and just kind of been watching what's going on in Iran just to kind of see where this is going. I'm not one of those people that's one of your breaking news YouTube channels where you're going to get the quick, rigmarole of, breaking news, red alert. Sometimes we get there, but, most of the time I hang back and I kind of watch and see the way things develop. And what I've kind of seen is like a massive amount of people are totally sick of the Iranian regime and everything to do with it and the persecution that they've been laying down on their people for so long, especially women and children. I mean, it's just disgusting what they do to women and children. But they've been, coming out and protesting in mass numbers. And then the IRGC has come out and just slaughtering people right and left. I mean, some of the numbers that I had heard yesterday was around 20,000 people slaughtered from and result to these protests that are happening in Iran. And the Iranians, that are protesting are saying, we don't want Iran to be a Muslim nation anymore. We want it to be a Christian nation. I do remember in the past there was a letter that was given from the underground Iranian church to a specific pastor I won't mention, and he read it out loud, and they were basically saying, we'll do what. Um, I'm sorry if I get emotional here because I feel so bad for these people, but they say you do what you have to do to help us from the air and going after the government, and we'll do what we have to do on the ground. These people are willing to fight along with um, you know, whoever is willing to fight next to him. These people are ready for battle to see freedom, and there are certain signs and things like that that we can look at and pay attention to that would kind of give away that big things are happening, and I want to talk about those today. And most people, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but we're going to talk about it today, and it's called the Pentagon Pizza Index. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's a thing. It's called the Pentagon Pizza Index. And this is about, Washington D.C. specifically. But it's an unofficial way to spot when something big might be brewing in the United States military or government circles. But in simple terms, it's the idea that when pizza orders or foot traffic at pizza places suddenly spike at pizza places near the Pentagon. Okay, and it's interesting. This holds a lot of water, and I got a graph I'm going to show you in a little bit. But the massive U.S. Department of Defense headquarters in Washington, D.C., usually when things are crazy and popping off, everybody wants to order a pizza because everybody's got to eat and keep fueled up and all that stuff. But it could mean that the staff there are pulling all-nighters, dealing with a major crisis or planning an operation. All right, this theory dates back to the 80s and 90s when a Domino's Pizza franchise owner noticed huge late night delivery surges to government buildings right before events like the U.S. invasions of Grenada in 1983 and Panama in 1989, or the start of the Gulf War in 1990. It's not an official tool, more like open source detective work that us and the public can see and measure and know what's going on internally, using public data, such as like Google Maps, popular times graphs for local pizzerias. These days, social media accounts like the Pentagon Pizza Report, there's that out there. They track it in real time, and it's sometimes called the pizza meter. Uh, Anyways, this index has popped up multiple times during recent tensions involving Iran and Israel and the US. For example, in April 2024, a surge in activity at a Papa John's near the Pentagon happened around the same time Iran launched drones at Israel. Then in June 2025, pizza spots near the Pentagon saw a huge surge about an hour before Israel kicked off airstrikes against Iranian targets, which escalated into a full conflict. But just over a week later, another spike occurred right before the U.S. announced its own strikes on Iranian nuclear sites. All right, these weren't isolated. Similar patterns showed up during other Iran-related escalations, like communications blackouts and protests in Iran that are happening now. It suggests that pizza activity could be a low-tech clue to high-stakes action. So, with that being said, I am going to show you this. Now, if you look closely, you will see the pizza spikes right around 1 p.m. this morning. Interesting, isn't it? I mean, you can see here in Domino's, there's 1,000% pizza spike with extreme pizza, which this is all near the Pentagon. This isn't some um, stock market thing. This is in real time the pizza analysis of the pizza places near the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. But again, in Extreme Pizza has a 213% spike. Obviously, no one likes District Pizza Place or We the Pizza, but Pizzato Pizza has a 294% spike, and Papa John's Pizza has a 213% spike. And this is actually a really big spike compared to what other spikes there have been in the past. So something is brewing here. All right. And this is kind of like the public's indicator, like the calm before the storm, so to speak. And, with that being said, lining it up with what we know between, war between Israel and the Muslim nations and, the nations of the world being divided on that very issue, which we're seeing, just crazy stuff popping off. Let me see if I can pull some up here. This is a clip that just surfaced, from yesterday. I mean, this just kind of shows just a partial bit of the chaos that's happening in Minneapolis over like deportations and things like that. Like the whole country, this is happening all over, but it seems like things are falling apart at the seams. Check this video out. I will warn you, there's a lot of language, a lot of F bombs in this. So if that bothers you, you can go ahead and turn this channel now.
Hey, go that way. Hey, back the fuck up. Sidewalk. You can build on the sidewalk. Force is not law. Force This is not law. You are not following the law. Oh my God! Drive away!
I've been beat up by police before. I'm disabled, so I can go to the doctor up there. That's why I didn't move. I'm not just a disabled person. I'm going to go to the doctor.
Does this make you feel strong? Yeah, man! This is your duty! Why don't you help that woman? Help that woman! Why don't you help?
And I mean, it's just it's insane the amount of rioting and things like that that has been going on in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Portland, and all over the place. I mean, people are, I mean, blocking roads again. It seems like it's a repeat of the summer of love. It's like it's it's the winter of love now. But on top of that, there's all this different talk of all these uh, spikes in super flu going on all across the board. I mean, people that I know through my wife, uh, they have family members that are in the hospital right now because of this. And it's like there's new things popping up, like different kinds of pneumonias and all sorts of different sicknesses. It's not just super flu anymore. And I'm not saying I called it. I'm not going to do that whole like I told you so thing. But I always believed that they'd have the super flu, and then they'd start releasing more things as we get closer. Um, and anyways, you know, uh, across the board, the super flu is through the roof. The numbers are way bigger than the first pandemic. And so, anyways, lockdown has to be at a state level. It's not like the feds can just say, oh, it all needs to be locked down right now. But it's something that happens at a state level. It's a statewide decision. And I'm just starting to wonder, like New York and California were pretty much ahead of the game with the mask mandates coming back at medical facilities and things like that. There's a few other places, but it makes me start to wonder, like, oh, we're gonna do this 2 weeks to flatten the curve or whatever, you know. And then what also is interesting is I come across a video, and this is one of Elon Musk's children's wives. I think he has like three children with this woman. And with that being said, I think there's like a Freudian slip here. I think you need to listen to what she says. And again, this is one of Elon Musk's children's mothers here, the baby mama. All right, here we go.
Yeah. Overall, I think there's quite a bit of abdication of responsibility around like what are we going to do as people's jobs start being taken fairly aggressively. Luckily, there's a massive population drop coming, so.
Did you hear that? And I'm gonna have to play it again because she's talked so fast. I mean, I can barely hear her, but she says, "Fortunately, there's a massive depopulation drop coming." All right, let's listen again.
Yeah. Overall, I think there's quite a bit of abdication of responsibility around like what are we going to do as people's jobs start being taken fairly aggressively. Luckily, there's a massive population drop coming, so maybe everything is just fate and it's going to work out okay. But I feel like we might get like very, very, very good AI across.
So, I mean, you heard it from her mouth, and I mean, she's tied in with Elon Musk. Elon Musk is tied in with the U.S. government. Of course, he's going to tell his baby mama, give her a heads up And so, there's all these different variables that are starting to pop off. War in the Middle East is beginning. Trump is saying that they're going to go in. He told the Iranians, he says, keep protesting. And he said, write down names. And he says, help is on the way. And for the longest time, I can't even begin to tell you for the longest time how long America has been planning war with Iran. And the Democrats want it too. They're just, I'm not talking about the public. I'm talking about the high up Democrats and the Republicans. They all want it. They all want war with Iran. And you know what comes with war with Iran, right? War with China, war with Russia. All right. This is what's going to start to set off this domino effect that I've been talking about, where they're working towards um like give me a second here, I'm going to pull it up, a 10 kingdom order. You know what I mean? They're working towards that in these sectors, being organized. And I told you it's going to be uh something that has to come from like World War III to make this really happen. And war with Iran is definitely going to pop off. War with China. And then there was Pentagon. Yeah, absolutely, the Deagle report plays into it as well. I actually have that PDF right here, the Deagle report. And they're the United Kingdom, Ireland, and the United States of America are at the top of the list for depopulation. United States is third at like a 68, I think 68.5% population decrease. That's pretty substantial. And I forget what it was, an encephalitis. There's like a pneumonia and like an encephalitis. I was going through. Give me a second here. I don't know if I can find it. Give me a second here. I'm hoping I can find it. But there's reports of a new viral outbreak of like an encephalitis and a pneumonia. And I forgot what part of the world it's in, but it has a 50% kill rate. It has a 50% kill rate, and they said it spreads like wildfire. So, absolutely, auto page, absolutely. 2019 and 2020 was a dress rehearsal. Um, but anyway, so we have all these pestilences that Matthew 24 told us was coming about. You have the wars and rumors of wars, nation rising against nation, kingdom against kingdom. You got the earthquakes. I was talking with John Paul Mowdy, one of my really good friends that I talk to quite a bit, and he was saying that he had to dial back his earthquake alerts to anything over like a 5.0 because they're going off so often. I think it was John Paul that told me that. But he said his phone was going off way too much, having anything below a 5.0, and that's crazy to me. So we were seeing a huge uptick in earthquakes. We're seeing a huge uptick in wars and rumors of wars. We're seeing a huge uptick in pestilence. We're seeing a huge uptick in racism because that nation against nation, the Greek word there is ethnos in the scriptures, and that's where we derive the English word ethnicity from. So, we're seeing massive amounts of racism on both sides of the coin. And I think it's terrible. It's the Illuminati really propagating civil war, race war, revolutionary war. But Iran, speaking on that, has said that they're going to strike America back. And, I want to make sure that at least the people that watch this channel are informed, in the sense that I need you guys to have your heads on a swivel everywhere you go in this season. I mean, the Pentagon Pizza Index proves it. That there is a situation that is unfolding, and it's begin to unfold around 1 p.m. Yeah, 1 p.m. yesterday. I'm sorry, I thought it was 1 a.m. earlier. I got mixed up. But 1 p.m. yesterday, the situation room in the Pentagon, obviously something was happening because people are like, all right, we're going to have to order pizza, and hunker down and figure this out. And so, these are all pizza places near Washington, D.C. And so, anytime we see this pizza index spike, we see big events take place. And Iran has stated that they are going to strike back. And I want to remind people that when you're uh, being told that, remember there's a lot of sleeper cells in America. I've warned people before. I'm concerned that America's October 7th style event is coming, and there is a lot of people here that want to do America and Americans harm. And so, I care about my viewers and my listeners tremendously. Uh, Again, a lot of the times, I can't sleep at night. You can ask John Paul, and I can't. I mean, me and him kind of can't sleep together. We'll be on the phone and we'll both be scouring the internet, just being that watchman on the third watch. While all the rest of the watchmen are sleeping, we're up late and scouring things and making sure that if something is to pop off, that we're here to walk you through it. And again, it seems like something big is brewing, and so I thought, man, I need to go live and warn everybody of what's going on. And again, be wary because or be aware, not weary, be aware that sleeper cells do exist here in America. And Iran has a lot of tentacles and a lot of proxies out there. And I'm not, excuse me. It's been a long morning so far for me. I woke up at like 1:30 a.m., 2 a.m. Anyways, this stuff's going on, and there's a destabilization happening in America. And I mean, maybe I will read this because I think it's important because it just keeps coming into my head, the nihilists and the atheists. And I talked about this the other day. Nihilists are people who don't want to subscribe to any kind of moral standard. They believe in just anarchy. But it says here the Third World War must be fermented. But actually, I want to state this real quick before we get going because you'll have a bunch of people out there that say that this letter isn't accurate because of the word Nazism in the Second World War. So I'm going to read this to you real quick. In 1841, the German economist Friedrich List published Das National System der Politischen Economy, which means national system of political economy in German, espousing settlement farming and agricultural expansion eastwards, along with economical industrialization manipulated by the state and the establishment of a German dominated European economic sphere as part of the solution to Germany's economic woes. And this was one of the predecessor ideas to Nazi imperialism. And it was in 1841. This is 30 years before this World War III letter you're looking at was written. In 1856, the French aristocrat and author Arthur de Gabenau publishes an essay on the inequality of the human races, in which he divides the human species into three races. All right. While not an anti-Semite, his work is often characterized as philo-Semitic, since he wrote positively about the Jews, but it is still considered an early manifestation of scientific racism, basically eugenics. All right. And the historian Joachim Seifest, in his biography of Hitler, claims that Arthur de Gabenau's negative views on race mixing influenced Hitler and thereby the ideology of Nazism. And that, again, is in 1856. So these predecessor ideas to Nazi imperialism existed before this letter was written. People try to say Nazism didn't exist. It absolutely did exist before 1871. And so therefore we can read the Third World War paragraphs with certainty that obviously there's nothing to really discredit this. There's people that even saw this document in in the 1970s, that even admit that it exists. All right, that it existed before they took it down. So It says the Third World War must be fermented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur or agents of the Illuminati between the political Zionist, which is Israel, and the leaders of the Islamic world, which is all the Muslim nations. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world of political Zionism, the state of Israel mutually destroy each other. They want this war. This war between those, all right, is going to be World War III. And if America gets involved with this war in Iran, more than likely Israel will too. They will partner up, and a result of that, more than likely, Iran, Russia, China are going to partner up as well, probably among other rogue nations. It says here, this deals with the rest of us now. Meanwhile, the other nations, all of us, once more divided on this issue, the issue of whether you're pro-Israel or pro-Muslim, all right, because that's really kind of what they want. I'm outside of that paradigm. All right, I do what the Bible tells me to do. I'm gonna put it that way, okay? But I'm outside of bloodshed. I don't want nothing to do with the bloodshed. I can't handle that. It bothers me. But I will say, it says, once more divided on this issue, that those people will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. All right. When it says we shall, it's the Illuminati, the agents of the agentur of the Illuminati. It says we shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists. Well, what's happening in America right now? Just showed you a video a little bit ago of just this complete upheaval in the bigger cities, even some smaller cities, where you have people that are rioting in the name of their beliefs and things like that. So it's they're trying to deport a lot of illegal immigrants right now, and there's other people that don't like that. There's people that are rooting it on, and so you have this divide, and that's what they want. But the nihilists and the atheists that they're talking about unleashing, those are the people that don't care about morality. Those are the people that want anarchy, no rules, defund the police and the political structure, whatever. You know what I mean? That's what they want. They want to see America burn. Okay, but it says and we shall, again, the Illuminati, the agentur, the agents of the Illuminati. It says, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effects of absolute atheism, the origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. So there's an event that's coming uh, that is going to be so devastating that I think it's going to pop off, either a civil war, a revolutionary war, or what I call a civolutionary war, sprinkled with a little bit of race war in there. They're trying real hard at that, and I don't think that that's the right thing to do. I am very against racism. I think it's wrong, and I think we're all created equal in the sense that our skin tone does not matter. Anyways, it says right here, then everywhere the citizens, so all over the globe, all over the people that are rising up and trying to destroy things, everywhere the citizens of the world obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries. This is the minority, not the majority. All right. So the majority are people that just want to be left alone. Just leave us alone. Let us watch TV and, have our pizza pie and, hang out and, go to work or whatever, or, just have our hobbies, garden, whatever, leave us alone. But they don't want to leave you alone. All right. They want to come after you, but they want the citizens, the body, to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries. And it says that those people will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, who are the ones destroying civilization. That would obviously be the Antifa folk, and the people who are out there rioting. They're destroying civilization. Anyways, and it says, and remember, these are Satanists that are writing this. Before I read this next part, it says, and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will be from that moment without compass or direction, because they just went to war, and a bunch of people get killed, and so I don't care how hard you are, you take someone's life and it changes you, it changes who you are. You think a little differently about things, and you feel a bit of weight on your shoulders from those things. So it says that those people will be from that moment without compass or direction, and it says they'll be anxious for an ideal, all right, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out into the public view. And we've been seeing this trickle effect of the Luciferian religion coming out into the open more and more. So we know that that's just right around the corner, where there's a hard, abrupt exposure of this thing. Because they want people to lean into Luciferianism. Remember, David Spangler said that nobody's going to enter into the New World Order unless they take a Luciferian pledge first, and he worked for the United Nations. So we know it's going to be a Luciferian global government that's coming, and I think a lot of people are going to resist that, so. Anyways, it says that will be brought finally out into the public view. It says this manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity, because they want to go after the Christians. So you Christians, you went out and you got your hands bloody, and you defended yourself against the world minority of revolutionaries. Shame on you. All right. And then that gives way for the Antichrist to go after the tribulation saints and to overcome them. He'd been given power and authority to overcome them. And they also want the destruction of atheism, because the atheists don't believe in Satan. They won't believe in Lucifer. They don't, you know what I mean? So, some of them will. Some of them, when they say that they're atheists, they really mean they're Luciferians, but they just don't believe in our God. You know what I mean? But it says that the Christians and the atheists will be both conquered and exterminated at the same time. And I think that's a great tribulation reference right there. But needless to say, this is where we're at. And it all starts with the pizza index. This pizza index, man, this is a high spike. If you go and you look at past pizza indexes, and again, for anybody just joining us, this is the pizza places near the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. And when a situation arises and there's critical stuff going on, the pizza orders spike through the roof, and it's a way that the public can measure what's going on inside the Pentagon by looking at the pizza index. And I really hope this video doesn't get taken down because I'm talking about this, because other people are skirting around this thing, but I always believe in just telling people straightforward. But yeah, I think that this is very indicative that something is happening with Iran. And if something's happening with Iran, with the United States, then that means Israel's involved. And if Israel and America are involved with Iran, then China and Russia are going to get involved. And then that kind of leans into Albert Pike's 3 World Wars. Now, I'm not going to bring the page back up, but that 3 World War letter between Albert Pike and Giuseppe Mazzini, they're both Illuminists. They're both Illuminati. All right, so they're planning out the 3 World Wars in that letter, and they're saying how it's going to play out. And I'm sorry, you just can't deny that in that letter, World War I played out like it happened, like they wrote it out. World War II played out like they wrote it out. And World War III is absolutely in alignment with what is written in that letter. And I just went through it with you, and I think it's really hard to deny. And there's people that are just like, I mean, I remember this guy. I commented, and I rarely do this, but I was watching another YouTube channel, and I think it was like Fox News or something maybe, and I commented and said something, or no, it was Jason A. It was Jason A's channel. That's what it was. And I had commented talking about, Albert Pike's 3 World Wars. People should read it. And this guy's like, oh, that's been discredited and bracka, bracka, bracka. And, no, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. It hasn't been discredited. And it shows their capacity for thought and free thought, that they just believe whatever they read on the internet. When someone tells you, oh, we debunked that, just like they debunked Pizzagate, right? They debunked that. It doesn't exist because, CNN took care of it, and some dude that was working for him that actually ended up getting in trouble for child sex crimes debunked the whole thing. It doesn't add up. Nope. There is no Pizzagate, blah, blah, blah. No, it's a huge sham. Pizzagate was real, and I don't care who says what. They're debunking matters about as much as a popcorn fart in the Sahara Desert to me. I really don't care. So, looking at the pizza index though from the Pentagon, the pizza places near the Pentagon, you see a massive spike, especially Domino's, 1,000% spike. At 1 p.m. in the afternoon. At 1 p.m., there's something that happened at 1 p.m., a decision that was made, and people got to eat. You got to eat. You got to stay fueled up, especially when you're in the Pentagon making big decisions about who's going to war with what. And so, everybody, I've been trying to tell you for so long that these days were approaching. I truly think that we're in the beginning of the end. I mean, at least the beginning of sorrows. We're at least in the beginning of sorrows, if not coming to the end of the beginning of sorrows, and getting to that point where we're going to see a transitional phase here. But I think that World War III is definitely on the horizon. And everybody that had said that Russia and Ukraine going to war with each other is World War III. I told people even back then, I said, it's just a campaign of World War III. This isn't the official kickoff. I think that we're about to see the official kickoff. And I'm here to warn you that is where I think we're headed, and paying attention to this for so long, for the past few years. So I pray people are paying attention. I pray people are focused on Jesus, because Jesus is the one that's going to keep us safe through all these things. It's going to be a bumpy ride getting to the finish line, folks, but we are getting close to the finish line. May God bless you all. May He keep you. And please don't forget to go out and change this world in which you live.
Shut up.